ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ वाङ्मे मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य म आणिस्थः श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेन अहोरात्रान् संदधामि हृदं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्माम् अवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम्। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यत्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयम् तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा जिह्वे पिबस्व मृतमेतदेव गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति। हे कृष्ण हे यादव दवहे सखेति. Narayan, 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 Narayan. First of all, I wish all the listeners of this podcast episodes a very, very happy Ekadashi which just went by, which was called Ashadi Ekadashi or Devashayani Ekadashi. I hope you had a blessed time at that. So, verse number 36, chapter 3. I have taken a little bit of this verse in the last session. We'll continue from where we left and we will see the meaning from there, and then we'll move on to the connecting bhashya in the next verse. Another brilliant verse, but this time remember the verse is coming from Arjun. Arjun, as a representative of all of us, is asking a question which many of us must have got in our intellect as a burning question, that seeing things around and sometimes seeing us also getting pushed into different directions. What is that force which is pushing us into action? Many a times, prima facie, it does not seem that I am entangled or I am in a party to this entire crime episode of mine or entire wrong things of mine. Sometimes it seems as if I am getting pushed into something. What is that force which is pushing me? So that question of Arjun is very correct. And in the last session, I also shared with you a similar question of Duryodhan also. But you see the contrast between the question, the difference between the way Arjun has put up his question and the way Duryodhan has worded it. One of the reasons to bring out that in the last session was to make it visible to you that the stark difference between in the way the outlook of Duryodhan was versus the way Arjun used to see things, even though they were part of the same family. So let's read the verse 36, chapter 3, and we'll take up from there. अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः. अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं पापं चरति पूरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय baladiva niyojitah. I'll take up the literal meaning of this verse because of the beauty of how Arjun has asked this question. Atha kena prayuktoyam. Bhagwan, by what is a man prompted? By what utility is a man pushed into papam charati? Purusha papam charati. Man end up doing or committing sin. Pushed by what? By what is that which is actually forcing a man to get into nishiddha karma, prohibited action, or doing sinful activities? Anichannapi. Many times it seems that it is not coming of their personal desires. Rather, balad iva niyojitaha. They are appointed by force by someone. I told you in the last session, sometimes we end up blaming or passing on the buck to some unseen forces rather than owning up to our mistakes. See, I'm also going to bring it up here. As a human being, many of us had this tendency to pass the buck to someone rather than standing up for our own mistake. The reason I'm bringing it up is that both the kind of attitude of ours, owning up to our mistake or passing on the buck to someone else, has got very much deep impact on us. I'm going to bring out while talking about this particular verse. So in the 36th verse, Arjun says, Bhagwan, Supreme Consciousness, Bhagwan Krishna, it seems that when a person acts into the field of prohibited actions or nishiddha karma or sinful actions, many a times it seems that, as a human being, I am struggling with my own prohibited resolves which are arising in my mind. I'm struggling with them. I agitate against them. I oppose them. I stand up and protest against them. But I don't know why I am not able to sustain that thing. It seems that those prohibited resolves, it seems inside me that I'm not supporting them. But yet, in spite of not supporting them, in spite of trying to struggle with them, in spite of standing up against them, agitating or protesting against them, standing up against them, it seems that balad niyojita iva, as if someone is pushing me, forcing me into sinful activities, or someone is forcefully employing me into sinful activities or prohibited actions. It seems that there is an external force which is very powerful, which is pushing me into sinful activities. Now I'm telling you honestly, many of the people who end up committing sinful activities or are wandering in the field of prohibited actions or wandering in the field of adharma, or constantly engaged with adharmic activities or sinful activities, or moving into the arena of prohibited actions. This is a thought process which comes in the mind of many of them. Many a times, prima facie, when they look within up at a higher level, I will not use the word higher level, at a top level introspection, at an external level introspection, I would not even call introspection. When they look little bit into their action, it seems to them that it's not that they supported that prohibited resolve. It's not that they did not struggle against it. It's not that they didn't try to stop them. It's not that they didn't stand up against it. It's not that they, without even thinking, jumped into it. It's not that they did not attempt to stop it. Many times it seems to them that they did try, but it also comes in their intellect, that there seems that there is a very strong external force which is beyond my control, which, because of which I end up doing sinful activities. I'm telling you, this thought process has got many big negative impact on us. I told you in the beginning now that what kind of thought process we entertain will guide us, or will tell us whether we are going to move up or we are going to move down. The moment we end up coming into this attitude of putting the blame on somebody else or passing the buck to someone else, that moment itself, subtly, at the subtle level, you see, we are justifying our wrong action. The moment we pass on the blame to an unseen force forcing me or pushing me into such thing, the moment I use that word, trust me, I'm telling you, at the subtle level, you are justifying your wrongdoing. And the moment you justify your wrongdoing, you will never own up for it, you will never stand up for it, you will never make an attempt to improve it. See, one of the things I'll tell you very honestly is the entire Sanatan Dharma scriptures, whether Purana, wherever Itihasa, you talk about Mahabharata, you talk about Ramayana, and or our Veda, whether you say Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, or Upasana Kand, whichever portion you see, one of the important part of Sanatan Dharma is constantly working upon improving the texture of your thoughts. See, this is the word I'm using it. I've said it in one of my podcast episode before also. Pujya Gurudev used to say it very, very loud and clear from every stage, that you change and the world around you will change. If I have a negative kind of an outlook towards the world and worldly people and worldly activities, there is no wonder I will always keep on meeting negative situations and negative people in life. Why? Because I am the one who is creating that energy to attract. So our thought is an energy. Why Sanatan Dharma keeps on telling you in this chapter till now, third chapter also, second chapter also, Bhagwan is constantly telling us what should be the way of our life, what should be our thought process in life. You cannot think that with a negative kind of a thought process or negative kind of texture of your thoughts, you are going to meet positive situations or positive people or positive events in life. You are not going to be. I told you in one of my sessions before also, and I keep on repeating it in many forums also, that's about watching news too much. It's the way the news is being shown today. I told you before also, and in the last episode also, I brought up the way Puja Guruji used to read a newspaper. It is not important for you to know everything happening around you. Yes, happening around you means happening in the world. Yes, it is important for you to be aware. Okay, see, the word is different. Huh? Being aware of something and knowing it in entire detail are completely two different things. Why you need to be aware? You need to be aware so that you can constantly make an attempt to not anyone harm you at all, or save yourself from negative things happening around you. Okay, save yourself from such kind of accidents. Let me just say it directly. But why it is not important for you to know it in too much or gather too much knowledge about all these wrongdoings? Why? Because slowly, gradually, you are storing yourself with negative kind of thought process. And trust me, the news people will show the news and move on, but you are the one who are going to struggle later on. So, it is very important for us to know what kind of things happening externally we entertain. The reason I'm using the word entertain, because the moment you move away from being aware to gathering knowledge and you gather wrong pieces of knowledge, you are constantly attempting to change the texture of your thoughts with negative kind of a web which you weave around your or entire intellectual thing. See, you need to remember that. So here Arjun says, who is the one and who actually pushes us into action? Why? Because he's trying to ask what is that unseen force. Because Arjun, like us, also feels that many a times it's not that we end up doing it, there is some unseen force which is very powerful. I can feel the power, but I cannot see what is that thing which is so powerful. Bhagwan, you will see how beautifully he answers that. That is when, and Bhagwan comes out and explains Arjun that Arjun, your thought process is not right. There is no external force. There is nothing more powerful which is doing that. It's your internal makeup which is pushing you through all these things. Now here I will bring up one beauty and brilliance of Bhagwan Shankaracharya. Now what Bhagwan Shankaracharya does is, after this question of Arjun, before Bhagwan Vacha comes, or before Bhagwan starts to give his teaching about what is that at force which is pushing us into things. Force means not external force. Bhagwan is going to explain it in detail. Before explaining that, as a connecting bhashya to Arjun's question, before starting with Bhagwan's answer towards it, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji takes a little bit different route and uses the opportunity here to explain who is Bhagwan. And there, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji quotes two verses from Vishnu Puran to explain who Bhagwan is. And the thought process will come why Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has to explain Bhagwan here, or why Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has to come up and explain about who is God before even Bhagwan Vacha comes as an answer to Arjun's question. Now here Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, he explains that for us to know who really Bhagwan is, who is God, so that we, with that kind of faith and devotion, listen to the teaching of Bhagwan. See, when we see many a times what happens is when people read history of Mahabharat, and many episodes have come of Mahabharat, and many people had that same issue, same problem, same disastrous thought process many people had living in Dwapar Yuga also, reading in Srimad Bhagavat about Bhagwan Krishna avatar, the 10th canto and all, and reading Mahabharat, many people mistake एक Bhagwan as one amongst us. Just because he seems to us in a human body, do not end up making this mistake, because that mistake is going to cost you a million. Let me tell you upfront. Do not end up making this mistake by gathering that understanding that Bhagwan is a human being, one like one like any of us. Do not end up that. That's the same mistake many people did when they read Ramayana also. I told you in one of the sessions before also, I heard somebody speaking from stage about Bhagwan Ram, that Bhagwan Ram was a disastrous man. His life was full of disaster. My only straightforward question is, so according to you, Bhagwan Ram was a man, was a human being. So that is, so I congratulate you for your understanding if Bhagwan Ram was a human being. See, nothing goes wrong for Bhagwan Ram if you have that kind of an understanding. Nothing goes wrong for Bhagwan whether we believe in him or not. There is nothing which goes wrong for Bhagwan whether the number of devotees are more or less. He is already Bhagwan. I'm going to explain you through these verses of these explanation of Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, that who Bhagwan is, why, who qualifies to be called as Bhagwan. He's quoting Vishnu Puran to explain that portion. Why even he quoted that? So that when we listen to the teaching, we have that faith and devotion that this teaching is not coming from any human acharya. It is not coming from a human guru. It is coming from the divine himself. It is coming from the creator himself. Who knows about this creation better than the creator himself? So that we have or we develop that much amount of faith and devotion, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji is quoting from Vishnu Puran to explain us who Bhagwan is, so that when we listen to all these things, these teachings, we have that faith and devotion at the back of the head that it is not being spoken from by some human being who is appointed as the charioteer of Arjuna to fight the Mahabharata. He is Sakshat Bhagavan himself. He is God himself, who has created this whole universe. We all are minuscule portion of his creation, and see his grace and blessing on us that he decided to appear himself, seeming as one of us. Why? With the one single purpose, that he could uplift us from where we are by giving us the correct knowledge of this creation. And trust me, I'm just mark my words, underline my words. Nobody can explain this creation better than the creator himself. Nobody can outline the intricacies of this creation apart from the creator himself. Why? Because he is the creator, he knows in and out of this creation. He knows in and out of each one of us. He knows in and out of each one of our thoughts and thought process. He knows where are the places where we lack. He knows every aspect where human being falls. He also knows every aspect where human being can work and grow up, or I would use the word vertical growth. He alone knows it. So that we listen to his teaching with that level of faith and devotion, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji explains as a connecting bhashya, and he quotes two verses from Vishnu Puran to explain who really Bhagwan is. Now, see, I'll tell you one thing very honestly. This is the importance and glory of Sanatan Dharma. You see, we have a clear definition of who God is, which are the aspects which make him God. Every aspect is explained here. I told you in the earlier episodes also, in Purusha Suktam it comes, Padosya Vishwa Bhutani Tripadasya Amritam Divi. With 1/4 of the creator, he has created this whole cosmos. Not only this galaxies, all the galaxies which exist in this whole cosmos, with 1/4 of him he has created that, and says Tripadasya Amritam Divi. 3/4 of him is untouched, never known to anyone, and it is called Amritam. It's nectarian. Amritam means it's not known to anyone. We cannot know that at all. When a saint becomes a realized saint, he starts to experience that God, but he can explain only a little. He cannot explain God in entirety. Vishnu Puran is trying to make an attempt to show you who really God is, so that we know who this supreme consciousness is. Supreme consciousness is the abode of all these qualities which makes him Bhagwan, gives him that definition called Bhagwan. Such supreme consciousness who knows everything in this whole cosmos, who Sarvagnya. So that supreme consciousness is trying to explain Arjun or answer Arjun's question, that which are the facets which forces man into sinful activities, adharma or prohibited actions. So that Bhagwan, that supreme consciousness is explaining Arjun on why Bhagwan, and Shankaracharya ji also explained all these things, that we know who is the one who is giving us this teaching. Such supreme consciousness is telling Arjun clearly that this kind of thought process, this kind of knowledge which you have, this kind of understanding which you have created, or this kind of imagination you have that somebody is forcing you into do adharma or prohibited actions or sinful activities, or wrong kind of activities by you. That kind of a thought process is going to a big obstacle for you in your vertical growth. You should not entertain such thought process at all. Do not pass on the buck of your sinful activity, your wandering into prohibited action, you doing wrong kind of activities. Do not pass on that buck into some unseen force at all. The moment you pass on that buck to some unseen force, remember, you within yourself are doing something without even your knowledge. What are you doing? You are justifying your wandering into adharma, prohibited action, or sinful kind of activities. By doing that, you are reinforcing to you that what you did is not wrong at all. The moment you do that, you start to justify your wrong action, and a thought establishes in you that what you did was not wrong. I'll explain you one small thing. These days you will see that there is a big rise in the road rage incidents going on. Those who engage into it, see, one thing I'm telling you very honestly and upfront in this creation, We do not have a right at all to harm anyone in this creation. See, mark my word again. Huh? We do not have a right to harm anyone in this creation. Yes, the only exception and for that is for those people who are employed with armed forces and all, when they end up fighting with enemies. See, that is an exception. Why? Because that's a completely different act altogether. There the purpose is not to harm. There the purpose is to protect the country. So remember my word, apart from police and those who try to safeguard the nation and protect the law and order and all those things apart from them doing for that particular purpose of their action, apart from that we have no right to harm anyone in this creation. Anyone is the word I'm using. Now when I use the word anyone, then there are some set of people who may pounce upon me and say, you know then that means we should not eat or consume fruits and vegetables also, because that is also like harming. See, do not misconstrue what I'm trying to say. Understand the essence behind it. The I told you in one session before also, there is a difference between ek indriya jeev and many indriya jeev, multiple senses, a jiva with multiple senses and a jiva with single sense. There is a difference between that. And plants and these entire fruits and vegetables etc were created in this creation for a purpose. Their purpose is different. We are not harming them by consuming them. But yes, that does not give us authority to cut trees incessantly. Huh? That does not at all. That is crime. Exactly, that is. For the sake of development, don't end up, cutting everything off from this and then have the nature's fury he come on to you by, inflicting floods and other things at all. You are seeing that. You know, see, this is a fact which we all need to understand. I'm not trying to feed the protest of the environmentalist also, oh, then go and fight with the government and all. I'm not saying that. There needs to be a methodology about everything. If you cut one tree, have the guts and courage to plant a tree somewhere else. If you cut something, if you can move a tree to a different place, do it rather than cutting it off completely. If you cut one, plant somewhere else. Compensate. You give. If you take, you give. In the nature, that's the only way how it works. So the moment you pass on the buck to someone else, you are trying to justify the wrongdoing of yours. You are trying to, you will end, means what? Internally you are justifying what you did. In road rage, why I picked it up, those who end up doing it, they justify, he did it, so that is the best way I could punish. Who gave you the right to punish? Who are you to punish? Who gave you the authority to punish? Are you the law and order? There are people sitting there to do all those things. Don't take up everybody else's work. Road rage is something which is extremely wrong. You are jeopardizing in the safety of people traveling on the road. Because of that, how many people are refraining from traveling, going long distance and all? How many people feel that, they don't let their women folks in the home not to drive? If you face such things, what will you do? What kind of a wrong thing it is? It is extremely wrong. We have no right to harm anyone in this creation. Mark my word. I'm repeating it so that it gets down into our head clearly. So the moment we pass on the buck to some unseen force, then we are actually going to end up justifying and saying that what we did was right. And sometimes people also use this word, probably God wanted me to do it. Oh, so God chose you to do that thing. So that's what I'm trying to say. Means what? You end up not even blaming an unseen force. Now you end up blaming God for your wrongdoing. Wow, what a brilliant way to do it. So, people say that maybe God wanted it, so this happened. Oh, man, God never wanted. He is the protector of this creation. I told you some time back also, I was talking to someone, and somebody expired in somebody's family. So they were telling me, why did God punish us? So I told them, I said, sorry, don't mind what I'm trying to say, but I'm telling you the truth. God is not sitting there to punish us, and He does not need to have better things to do. God does not need to punish us. He is karma phala data. He has made sure that this cycle of creation works in a way that the fruit of our action comes to us only. He has just made this cycle so perfect. So he is not, by becoming karma phala data, under his leadership, all fruits of action goes to those people who have done that action, because he is presiding over that whole creation. So he is the one who owns this whole creation. He is a karma phala data. Means what? He is not sitting there, oh, this man, he doesn't worship me, let me give him all his sins. I'm sorry, do not understand God that way at all. So, I told you in one of my sessions before also, if somebody is atheist, nothing goes wrong for God. He is absolutely sitting in his glory. It goes wrong for us if we don't believe in him. He is the master of this creation, he is the creator of this creation. It does not matter to him who believes in him, who does not. But remember one thing, God is, this word also, I'm wanting you to mark my, underline my words, that God is not sitting there to punish us. God is sitting there to help us. God is sitting there to bless us. God is sitting there to grace us. God is sitting there to uplift us. But the only point is, He will not forcefully do anything of that sort for you. You go to Him, He will do all those things. So, God is an ocean of compassion. There is no one who is more merciful than God. His mercy is so brilliant that you just turn once, He will not let you fall anywhere. In the Bhagavad Gita verses, I'm going to bring that up. So, here, do not end up passing the buck to God at all. When we hear such kind of statements from somebody who calls them a seeker, it finds very shocking. It finds very strange that a seeker is saying that. From time immemorial, we as human beings have trained our antakarana to pass on the blame to someone else and escape the blame. This is a tendency in, I would say, almost all of us. We would try to put the blame on someone else so that we don't end up getting the blame. The moment we get an opportunity, we want to put the blame on somebody else's head and move on. I am guilty. Accepting that is not something which we are courageous enough to do it. We do not have enough courage to do it. Most of us. I'm not talking about all of us. There are people who have that courage. From time immemorial, we have practiced this facet that the moment some mistake happens, search for someone to pass on the blame. Keep the blame on somebody else's head. And I'm guilty. I am at fault, accepting that many of us do not have the courage to do that. They feel that the moment I put the blame of some wrongdoing on somebody else, then I become free from that blame. And because that thought process is deep down within us, that is why most of us want to put the blame on somebody else and move on. And I will search for somebody else who becomes what? Scapegoat, for me to just pass the blame on somebody else. That is why Arjun also asked the question, Atha kena prayuktaha ayam? And Bhagwan is going to answer that very differently. Before we go into the next verse, I'll read Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya, connecting Bhashya. Oh, before I read connecting Bhashya, I'll read Puja Gurudev's commentary for this particular verse and then read connecting Bhashya of Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji, and we'll take up the meaning from there. before I read Puja Gurudev's commentary on this particular verse, I'll bring out again for you the thing which I quoted from Mahabharata, what Duryodhan used to say, and make you understand from the level of Arjun's question. And even though they sound the same, but there is a stark difference between the a question and what Duryodhan said and what Arjun's question was. So in Mahabharata, Duryodhan says, "Janami dharmam nachame pravrittihi, जानामि अधर्मं न च मे निवृत्तिः केनापि देवेन महत् बलेन यथा नियुक्तोस्मि तथा करोमि." So see, the question of Duryodhan is passing on the blame on someone else. He says, I know well what is dharma. Of course, he will know what is dharma because he studied it in the tutelage of Dronacharya along with Pandavas. Dronacharya was their acharya. So they were taught dharma and adharma extensively. Janami adharmam. Janami dharmam nachame pravritti. I know well what is dharma, but I do not have the push, the motivation to work in that direction. I do not have pravritti. Pravritti means I don't act in that direction. Janami adharmam nachame nivrittihi. I know well what is adharma, but I am not able to stop myself from going in that direction. Then the way he says, Kenapi devena mahad balena. By some deity who is very, very powerful, well, yatha niyuktosmi, the way he employs me, tatha karomi. I end up doing that. Meaning what? Don't blame me. I am not doing anything. Some deity who is very powerful is the one, and even though I have knowledge of both the things, but I am not able to act in that direction. Whereas, what does Arjun say? Arjun say, "Atha kena prayuktah ayam papam charati purusha." Bhagwan, I need to know who is that, what is that force which is impelling a man to commit sin, though against his own wishes. Anichannapi. Hey Varshnaya, constrained as it were by any force, man is getting into the action. Bhagavan, I need to know what is that force. He never put a blame on any devata here. He is asking, what is that force? Is it an unseen force? Arjun's question is that. There Duryodhan put the blame on a devta. He said, there is some devta who is actually pushing me into that. The way he employs me, I get into that action. I'm only a doer. I'm only an instrument in the hand of that devta who's pushing me into adharma. That is the way Duryodhan said. Here Arjun said, Bhagwan, Arjun's question is out of his own introspection. Arjun says, Bhagwan, I need to know what is that which is the impelling force behind man getting into sinful acts and tendencies and sinful actions, into prohibited action or adharma. I need to know why sometimes it feels that even though, oh, that person may not want it, prima facie it seems that person is not such a bad person to do such gory things. But what is that force which is pushing them into? I want to know. Oh, is it some unseen force or is it some force within us which we don't know and which we must know to tame? Arjun's question is from a learning perspective, introspective perspective, to know what are the aspects which I need to look forward and correct. Whereas Duryodhan's question was to just pass on the blame on some devta, that these devatas have nothing, some devta is sitting there who's getting me into such thing, I am not the one to be blamed. So anyway, so that is the difference which we need to understand between Arjun's question and the way Duryodhan said that in Mahabharata. Now I'll read Puja Gurudev's commentary on this verse before going into the connecting Bhashya Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji explaining who is Bhagwan. So Puja Gurudev says in his commentary, following the tradition of the scriptures, the disciple now asks a definite question upon the very theme of the discussion. The very question shows that Arjuna has, to a large extent, got out of the hasty conclusions which he exhibited until the beginning of the second chapter. He has become introspective and therefore conscious of certain forces working within himself that were ruining and obstructing the play of his own higher impulses. The doubt is couched in such familiar words that it appears as though it is a doubt raised by some student of our own times. There is no living man who has not in himself a sufficiently clear conception of the good and the meritorious. Everyone understands intellectually what is right, but it is only when it comes to action that one invariably gets tempted to do the wrong. This paradoxical confusion between one's ideology and one's own actions becomes quite a big problem to all those who try to introspect and review themselves. The divine in us, with its nobler aspirations, wants to fulfill itself with its higher impulses and subtler achievements, but the animal instinct in us tempts us away, and we walk the path of the baser joys of the flesh. This invariably happens even against our own wishes. Arjuna is inquiring of the Lord, what is the exact nature of this Satan in our bosom, which thus systematically loots away the good in us? Varshnaya is the name of Lord Krishna, meaning one born in the family of Vrishnis. This is what Puja Gurudev has to say for the commentary of verse number 36. Now we'll read Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji's Bhashya, which I've been trying to point out towards from the beginning of the discussion today. Bhagwan Shankaracharyaji in the connecting Bhashya says, शृणु त्वं तं वैरिणं सर्वानर्थकरं यम त्वं पृच्छसि. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. What you have asked, Arjun, that is the cause of the destruction of a man. Sarva anarthakaram means it is the cause of destroying a man, the cause of destruction of the man. And who is that enemy sitting in each one of us? With keeping that in mind, Bhagavan answers. Now, continuing from there, Bhagavan Shankaracharya now goes on to explain who is Bhagavan. And he quotes, I'm reading the two verses separately, what he's quoting. One verse is from Vishnu Puran in the sixth canto, sixth portion, Shashta Ansha, fifth Adhyay, fifth chapter, and 74th verse. Bhagwan, there Vishnu Puran says, Aishwaryasya samagrasya dharmasya yashasa shriyah vairagyasthaya mokshasya shannam bhaga itirana. Aishwaryadi shatkam yasmin vasudeve nityam apratibaddhatvena samastyena cha vartate. Then he quotes another verse from Vishnu Puran, the sixth canto or sixth portion, Shashta Amsha, fifth Adhyay again, in fifth chapter, 78th verse. It says, Utpattim pralayam chaiva bhutanam agatim gatim vetti vidyam avidyam cha sa vachyo bhagavaniti. Utpatyadi vishayam cha vijnanam yasya sa vasudevo vachyo bhagavaniti. Now, since this Bhagavan Vacha is explaining who Bhagavan is. So let's take up the meaning of that particular thing which Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji has quoted here. We should know that while writing the Bhashya of this 36th verse, and before starting the 37th verse, it's the first time Bhagavan Bhashyakar, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji had explained the meaning of this word called Bhagavan. See, one thing I'll tell you honestly, okay? Many things, many words, the way it is expounded in Sanskrit, we may not be able to explain it that clearly using the terminology in English. English, the word is God. God, of course, you can, the etymology is the generator, operator, and destroyer. But that doesn't explain much about who God is. In Sanskrit, the word Bhaga means that one who is filled with these six things. And these six things which are being elaborated here, Shannam, these six things are in abundance or in infinite quantity in someone, that one alone qualifies to be called as Bhagavan. So that way you need to understand. Okay. Before I get into the meaning, two more things I'll highlight to you here. In the second chapter, Bhagwan Uvacha had come three times. If you recollect the second chapter, three times Bhagwan Uvacha came. In this chapter also, before also, Bhagwan Uvacha came. But such a clear, pure meaning of the word Bhagwan, explanation of the word Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji has done only here. And in this, I told you, he has taken up the verses from Vishnu Puran. So, since he has taken up the verses from Vishnu Puran, one more thing I must highlight about Bhagwan Shankaracharya and his beauty and beauty of his work. We must keep an attention towards this thing that Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji used to consider Puranas, 18 Puranas we have, and Smritis as proof of Sanatan Dharma knowledge. They were, they were authentic documents exposition of Sanatan Dharma knowledge. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji used to very well consider that. Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji says here that these six things, the one who possesses these six things, who beholds these six qualities, six bhagas, six qualities, they are the only one who can be called. They are the only one who can be called as Bhagwan. These six things I'm going to separate and tell you: Aishwarya, Dharma, Yasha, Shri, Vairagya, and Moksha. Now, there is one word which, when I read this verse, those who have Shankaracharya ji Bhashya, they will see there is a word which comes in between, Samagrasya. This word Samagra means all encompassing, means in entirety, in its complete portion. This word Samagra will go with Aishwarya also, Samagra Aishwarya, Samagra Dharma, Samagra Yashaha, Samagra Shriyaha, Samagra Vairagya, Samagra Moksha. It will go with everything. So in entirety, it's not that, see, when I say Aishwarya, Dharma, Yasha, and I'm going to explain you that now. As I explain you that, I'll give you the meaning correctly over there itself, so you will know that. Anyway, so it says, Bhagwan Bhashyakar writes ahead, the one Samastyena Apratibadhena Nityam. Bhagwan is that in whom these six things reside without any kind of limitation, without any kind of division, without any kind of exposition. Exposition means without any kind of being reduced by spending or something like that. And they remain with him all the time, at every point in time. This is also you need to, that is what is explained by the word Samagra. Samastyena Apratibadhena Nityam. And in these six things, there is no limitation of these six things being with Bhagwan. Not that when he gives to someone, this will reduce or something. No, I use the word initially itself, it's an infinite quantity. Infinite means it is in entirety. The entire thing is with Bhagwan. Now remember one thing. One thing before I move forward, I should tell you, the one who has these things, the one who has these things in abundance, in its entirety, all these things belong to him only. He has it at all period of time. Now tell me one thing, can't he, when he gives from these things to his devotees, why can't he give it to his dear devotees? He does. And by giving to his devotees also, it's not like somebody having wealth, by giving it to someone your wealth will reduce. No, it's always in infinite quantity. Even when he gives also, nothing reduces. That is the beauty of him being a creator. So Samastyena Apratibadhena Nityam. So there is no kind of limitation in any of these things. The quantity of it being limited at all, it's an unlimited quantity with him. It's there with him in all periods of time. There is no point of time when these things reduce or are not there with him or are vanishes from him. So the word comes, Bhagwan as God. Now I'm splitting the word to explain you. When we say Aishwarya, Aishwarya actually means glory. Now, the glory word you need to understand, it is about Bala. Bala means the power, and Vikrama. Vikrama means the the power being in winning over everyone. Vikrama means one who has won over everything. That much power Bhagwan has to win over everyone. Okay, so understand that Samagra Dharma, the entire Dharma belongs to Bhagwan. Now, when I say Dharma, remember, I'm not talking about religion here. I told you for this session, I will coin religion as Sampradaya, not as Dharma. Dharma is Sanatan Dharma only. Dharma means the eternal law which binds everyone irrespective of caste, creed, and religion. I already told you that. Sanatan Dharma means that eternal law by which each one of us are bound. Each one of us are bound means each one of us are governed by that particular law. There is no separate law for different caste, creed, and religion. There is nothing like that at all. So here it says Samagra Dharma, the entire Dharma belongs to him. Samagra Yasha, some popularity, fame, the entire fame belongs to him. Samagra Dhan Lakshmi, entire wealth. Dhana Lakshmi means wealth, and wealth means, when we say Lakshmi, Dhana means wealth, as in the physical wealth we talk about. When we say Lakshmi, we talk about all the wealth of internal qualities also, not only the external wealth, internal wealth also. All that belongs to Bhagwan. Samagra Vairagya, the entire, the total dispassion belongs to him. And Nitya Moksha means moksha will not go samagra there. Samagra means entire. So here it will become Nitya Moksha. Nitya Moksha means the realization is always with him. Always with him. So I told you, when I quoted the verse from Kathopanishad, when I spoke about that verse, Nayamatma pravachane na labhyah na medhaya na bahuna shrutena yame vaisha vrunute te na labhyah tasyaisha atma vivrunute tanum swam. When I quoted that verse, there's the one who chooses him, he decides to reveal himself to them. He decides to uncover himself to them. Means what? He decides to give them the experience of himself. So that is the thing we need to understand. Now, when I say these things, you need to understand this is the difference between a Jiva and Ishvara. This is the difference which is considered between a Jiva and Aishvara. A Jiva, from time immemorial, is always encompassed, enveloped, and covered by avidya. Avidya means ignorance. And because of which a jiva is always bound. And since he is bound, realization or moksha is for him. See, who will realize? Who will get mukti? The one who is bound, no? One who is ever free, for him, what moksha is there? He is always nitya mukta. Nitya moksha means nitya mukta. He is ever liberated. He is ever free. He is never bound at all. Bhagwan is never bound. Paramatma, the supreme consciousness, is nitya sarvagnya. Purvesham api guru kalena anavachchedat. He has got no ignorance at all that any guru has to come and resolve for him. He is from the beginning itself always filled with knowledge. Knowledge, sarvagnya. Sarvagnya means there is nothing in this cosmos, nothing I'm talking, in this cosmos which he doesn't know. That is why he has another name which is called Antaryami. The one who knows everything is sitting as a soul within me. So, since he is always filled with knowledge, Nitya Sarvagnya, that is why he is also Nitya Mukta. He is always free. He's never bound. So when Bhagwan Ram, and this was the question, when Bangalore Satsang comes up, you listen to that. This was the question which Satiji had with Bhagwan Shiva, that Bhagwan, we people call him Paramatma, but I see him crying and weeping in the loss of his wife, and he doesn't even know who is he asking questions to. He's like beating his head against the wall, asking for where Sita ji is. If he is Sarvagya, would he not know where Sita ji is? See, that is the beauty of Bhagwan's Leela. Bhagwan can do Leela. You know, then remember I in that Bangalore Satsang also said that Leela, if Bhagwan Ram and Mother Sita is doing a Leela, in this is discussion, Mother Sati and Bhagwan Shiva is also doing a Leela. Don't consider Mother Sati as ignorant and asking Bhagwan Shiva the question. Don't even consider that at all. Huh? Don't consider, understand our God and goddesses in their correct form and manner. So, since Bhagwan is Nitya Sarvagya, is always filled with knowledge, he is always free, he is Nitya Mukta. And the one who is with these 6 qualities, 6 facets, 6 Bhaga, that one is called as Bhagwan by Sanatan Dharma. And these 6 things, 6 qualities in Bhagwan or in Ishvara is there always filled, topped up. Apratibandhit means free from any kind of limitations, free from any kind of reduction, free from any kind of disturbance, and is always there in that quantity, ever, ever, and ever. It never goes up and down. The quantity doesn't go up or down of these things. It is not something which comes and goes in them. And these qualities is actually, we find an abode in Bhagwan. They are dependent on Bhagwan. They rest in Bhagwan. That is why he is the one who can give it. The first thing is, now I'll pick up one by one. This explanation is going to take time. So we will see how much we can take today. Then we'll see the rest in the next portion. The first thing is Samagra Aishwarya. Now, Aishwarya in technically means Bala Vikrama. Bala Vikrama means power. Now, and power means what? That power which is undefeated. Undefeated means it never gets defeated by anyone. Now remember, with power, and that too which is not defeated by anyone, only somebody can rule over this creation. The ability to rule over comes from Bala Vikrama. Bala Vikrama comes from the power or strength, along with being the ability to win over many. I'm just telling you many for a reason. The reason I explained you with the word win over many is, if you look at rulers in our country or rulers anywhere in the world, you will see they have been able to rule over because of their power and the ability to win over some, win over many. Okay, but Bhagwan is much, much higher than them. So, Ishwarasya bhavaha iti Aishwarya. Aishwarya means that ability to rule over. But God's ability to rule over is different from the rulers in the world and our country, because Bhagwan rules over not only this earth, not only some country, he rules over the entire cosmos. And one story I can relate to that, and I'll bring it to you here, that there is one time when Brahmaji was caught up by this ego that I am the creator, and he heard that there is some cowherd boy in Vrindavan who is doing all these leelas, and I heard he's very powerful. Well, people say he's Bhagwan. I did not create any such thing. I don't know where he came from, but let me see how much power he had. So once Bhagwan Krishna went with his Gopalas. Gopalas means cowherd friends he had. They went for helping the cattle graze is and all. So what Brahmaji did, he hid all his cowherd friends along with the cattle herd also. He hid all of them, and he took them to Brahmaloka and he hid them there. And it says Brahmaji is waited for 1 day. The 1 day of Brahmaji becomes 1 year on the earth, because the time zone is different. I would use the word time zone, because time, as we move up to the different lokas, the time concept of time becomes different. 1 day in Brahmaloka is 1 year here. So it says Brahmaji, he just, for one moment it is said, there Brahmaji's one moment is like 1 year here. So anyway, so Brahmaji, for one moment he hid them there, and by the time 1 year passed by on the earth, but when he looked down on the earth, he could see that, you know, uh, the cattles and the cowherd guys are there in everybody's home, and they are being loved more, because what Bhagwan Krishna did, he became each one of them which were hid by Brahmaji in his Brahmaloka. So then Brahmaji came down. It's called Brahmaji's Garvaharan Leela. It comes in Srimad Bhagavad. In 10th canto it comes. Brahmaji came and asked forgiveness from Bhagwan, that I'm so sorry, I did not understand your glory, your greatness. I thought you are like one of my creation and all. So Bhagwan smiled and forgive him and said, Brahmaji, don't ever have the ego. You have got a role of creator. You have been assigned the role of creation, but you are not the creator at all. Creation is something which is coming from Bhagwan himself. And it says that, to when Brahmaji came with the cowed cattle, he said, Brahmaji, look up. And then he could see many Brahmajis of different cosmos who came there. And he was the Brahma of the smallest cosmos, it is said. So that's how Bhagwan showed him the glory. So here, understand one thing, the ability, capability to rule over becomes the most important facet to gain something called Aishwarya, to gain something called power. And when we use the word Aishwarya, the other five things are included in them. But since it is explained separately, we'll take it up separately only, the way Vishnu Purana explains. So, which means what? The word Aishwarya will actually means the power, parakram, the strength or power to rule over. Now, remember one thing, with the strength or power only, one can establish something called rulership. The ability to rule is established by strength or power only. And that is what gives us the authority to rule. Okay, strength and power is important for us as to gain the authority to rule. So the literal meaning, the actual meaning of the word Ishvara means that one who rules over. Rules over what? Rules over this entire creation. Now, along with that, you need to understand, for ruling over someone, the first thing is which is required by a person will also be strength and power to rule over. A weak person cannot rule over at all, and nobody is going to even accept that rule of a weak person. Why? Because he does not have the ability to control using his strength and power. A powerful or a strong person alone, see, I'm using the word person, I'm not using the word man here, because there have been many women rulers also. So I told you, when we come to the word called jiva, jiva is neither a man nor a woman. So the man and woman is only a difference at the bodily level. It has got nothing to do with jiva. Okay, jiva is neither a man nor a woman. So the difference is only at the level of body. So if you say at the jiva level anybody can rule, yes, women can also rule, men can also rule, and that has been as an example in the history also. That is the reason I'm using the word called person here. Now, only a person with power or strength is the only one who can control over, who can create it, a span of people to be controlled over, and one who can, and establish a rule over them. Okay, establish, and that is how one actually rules over people, rules over country, rules over nation, which will translate into what? Strength or power is the doorway for Ishwaratva, is the doorway to establish rule in a particular country or over people. So that is how we need to understand. But is strength or power enough? No, it's not. This strength or power should be supported by something called wealth. Why? No, now take the example. You see, countries in their budget, they allocate funds for their armed forces, military, air force, and navy. They allocate funds. Why? Why do they allocate funds? Army is established. Now, why do you need to allocate more funds? Because to continue to be strong enough, you need to spend on something called defense expenditure. Now, with the current wars and all around the world, many countries, you will read in the news or newspaper that they have increased their defense spending. Why? So that those who are strong can continue to remain strong, those who are becoming strong can gain the strength, those who are reaching that level or they have not focused on that, they are able to maintain their territorial boundaries only when they have strength, and for that strength they have to spend. So strength alone is not enough. Strength has to be supported by something called wealth. If the strength of power is not there with a strong or powerful person, that person will not be able to rule for a long time. To buy equipments, weapons, machinery, even to pay the salary to the armed forces, money or wealth is required. Without wealth, one cannot maintain rulership for a long period of time, cannot maintain rulership for even a small period of time without the strength of money supported by the physical strength. So to cultivate rulership, or to nourish rulership, or to establish rulership, the second thing which is required along with strength is going to be wealth. Without wealth, without Shri, Shri means wealth. Now I told you Shri means actually Lakshmi ji. Lakshmi ji's actual meaning is not only physical wealth. We do Deepavali Puja, we think that she's a, and we have photos where Lakshmi ji is, has got this kind of a matka or a vessel from her where coins are dropping, means the wealth is, money is dropping out from there. We consider Lakshmi ji as the goddess of wealth, but wealth we misconstrue as external wealth only. Wealth has got internal wealth and external wealth. I told you in one of the episode before also, external wealth, without internal wealth cannot be sustained for long. But if you have internal wealth, you lose external wealth can be built up again, provided you have internal wealth. But if you do not have internal wealth, external wealth will not remain with you for long, and once it is lost, you will not be able to make it up again. So that's the difference you need to understand. So without wealth, without Shri, one cannot establish rulership at all. You will see, generally you will see in the history also, if you pick up the history, all those kings who have established rule in this world, they have been able to establish rule with these two bhagas, with these two gunas, with these two facets. You know, Based on these two facets, based on these two qualities only, they have been able to rule in this world. Any ruler you take in this world, even earlier also, now also, till the time they have these two qualities, they have been able to rule. And the moment these two qualities or any one of these are gone, their rule has ended. You will see many kings who have been defeated in wars and all. You will see the biggest cause of that have been losing one of these two things. And the external rulership, if, is the first thing which needs to be established, and that can be established with these two things alone: external rulership. So wealth, strength and wealth, in its correct sequence: strength and wealth. Now, uh, even if people have to rule over people externally in the world, you want to rule over people, yes, for that also you need, even today I'm talking about anyone who comes in power through political connection, through political election, not connection, election and process or anything also, to continue to rule, these two things are absolute requirement. Now I'll tell you one laughing fact about some rulers who have come and gone also. And rulers means some political rulers I'm talking about, who have come and gone. They have been giving so many freebies and other things without even thinking how to generate them. They have many people, once they go out of the power, the next government comes and complains that their entire wealth is gone. They are in deficit. They have to repay things. Why? Because the previous political party who ruled over overspend or spend without limit, without looking at avenues to generate them. Many people, I'll tell you, I will use one word which I used to hear in the country. Many governments come as cost centers. Cost centers means they are only spending. They have no focus on collecting funds or earning funds at all. Array, where will you spend? If government comes without the focus on earning, you keep on spending, the day will come when you will go into severe deficit, and you will, other governments which come, they will not be able to fulfill them or repay them for ages to come. Means what? You are making the state or country debt ridden. You are creating debt for them, which people in the future generation will have to end up paying. So when the country comes up saying that your forex reserves have grown up, it's a positive sign. Just giving freebies cannot be considered as the a strength of a government. Freebies, how long will you sustain? And if freebies are also being given, uh, you know it is definitely something which needs to be watched out for. Freebies are given by government, with whose money? Government is not spending from their own pocket. They are spending taxpayers money. They are actually not spending, they are wasting taxpayer money into these freebies. That is why there should be very strict thing that don't give so many freebies, give benefits. You distributing freebies to some, you are making others devoid of the benefits they could gain. If you do not do this, everywhere everyone in this creation can gain. How can you be partial to some set of people and not to others? Means what? Taxpayer should pay without any benefit at all. That's very wrong. Government should think about that. That is something which one should know. So more important than the external wealth and power which can rule over people externally is the ability to rule over the hearts. Who can rule over the hearts and mind of people? Now that is one thing which I need to discuss a little bit. I will start it this time, but we'll continue in the next session. Now, the thing you need to remember is that the rule one established by external, rulership or external wealth or strength and power does not stay forever. But the rule one established through one's own behavior, one's own ability to contribute, one's own ability to help others benefit, one's ability to uplift the society, remember, those kind of rulership are, so to say, a goes for much longer period, if not eternal. Any of those people who have done such things will always be remembered beyond a period of time. That is something which we all must know. Meaning what? Maybe some people may have wealth, may have strength or power also, but the fact may be that they are not liked by people. So those people cannot establish rule for a long period of time. The biggest example I can quote for such a person is Ravan. Ravan had no dearth of wealth also, he had no dearth of strength also. He had immense amount of power and strength, he had immense amount of wealth also. But he did establish rules also, but he did not have the aptitude to win over the hearts of people. People used to accept his rulership only out of fear, but those kind of rulership will not sustain for long at all. So he never ruled over the hearts of people. That's why his rule was temporary. It was taken away one fine day by God Himself. So the strength and the ability to win in external fight and the wealth is only an incomplete way to rule over. They are incomplete qualities. They are not complete in itself to help you win over. They are I would use the word, they are partial kind of, they will give you partial ability to rule. The actual rule is for those who can rule over the heart of people. Those people who have been ferocious rulers, who have killed many. You can see many Mughal rulers in the history textbooks. You can read. It's not that they didn't rule, but their rule always have been for a short span of time. Few years here and there, 10, 15, 20 years, 50 years, I would not consider as a huge period of time and for anybody's rule. Their rule always have been temporary, with the kind of attitude to inflict pain on people, killing people, suppressing people. How long will you rule? You cannot. Even though you may have huge army, doesn't matter, you cannot win forever. So all those people who have come and ruled also, maybe they have ruled with the power of their sword, maybe they may have ruled with the power of their army or things like that, but how long will you forcefully rule on people? Maybe they may have ruled over people with their wealth, but those who rule over the hearts of people, who rule over the minds of people, that is the rule which remains for much, much longer period of time. Sthayitva. Sthayitva means it's not a temporary rule at all. Other rule is only temporary. For those people who rule over our heart, now the facet of that we should understand is that those people who win our heart, in our inner equipment or antakarna, we develop up something called faith in them. We develop something called shraddha in them. And with the moment we have shraddha or faith towards someone in our heart, when we start having faith or devotion for someone, that remember, that time we'll allow that a person on whom we have established that faith and developed devotion to rule over us. We only allow them to rule over us by the virtue of position, and one cannot rule over us forever. If one can establish a way of life which develops faith and devotion in the heart of people, remember one thing, if that is established in the heart of people, that person will never say, hey, that oh, I will not allow you to rule, or your rule should be over. He will never say that. Remember, those people whose hearts are won over by a person, they wait to listen to such people. I have seen my own Guruji. In his satsang, people used to wait. They used to sit till midnight with him, and they refused to. Oh, those people who sleep early also, they used to be awake in the night and used to sit with him. Why? Because that is the kind of faith and devotion people develop towards him. That one who becomes the facet of becomes the subject of faith and devotion of us becomes a reason for developing interest in us. And for such people, we start liking them. And when we start liking them, their words become powerful enough. Basing their words and teaching, we start to carve out a way of life to work upon in improving ourselves and growing up the ladder in life. And the cause of faith is that we consider somebody bigger, or in terms of knowledge, in terms of their action in the world, and we consider somebody as we understand their mahaniyata means that we accept their greatness in our heart, that this person is definitely great, and I find it very important that I should develop faith and devotion for him. The moment, and I accept the greatness and I accept the greatness not out of force. I accept the greatness of somebody happily, and I accept that greatness happily. That is what is this converts in us as something called faith. When we accept happily somebody's greatness, that is what is coined as the word called shraddha or faith. Remember, accept the greatness of someone. Those people who we consider lower than us, we can never ever develop faith towards them. Those who are lower than us, or we consider lower in nature, we cannot develop faith towards them at all. We all have ability in us to develop faith and devotion, and our antakarana has to become sattvic, has to have sattva in it to actually come to this facet to develop faith and devotion. But still, even if we have sattva in us and we have the ability to have developed faith and devotion towards someone, in spite of that also, we can never have faith towards somebody who's lower in nature. We cannot or be dedicated to someone and who is lower in nature. So the one which develops or which cultivates the feeling of faith in us is actually the acceptance, happy acceptance of this fact called greatness, seeing greatness in someone. So that much for today. Rest we'll see in the next session. Kayena vacha manas